Hello everybody, and welcome to our Holiday Science series. Today we are going to be making holiday scented wrapping paper. Again, these materials, as you can see, it's pretty basic. You have your everyday shaving cream, food coloring, some paper towels, some aluminum pans. You need a spoon and you need a fork and some paper towels and some copy paper. If you have a spatula, that's fine. You don't have to have a spatula. When we get to that point, I can explain how that's going to work and how that does actually kind of expedite the experiment towards the very end. So today we have Jalen, who's in 5th grade, and Jada, who is in 6th grade. So they're here to help me out today. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out with our aluminum pan, and we're going to grab some shaving cream. What we're going to do is we're going to take the shaving cream and we're going to apply it all down the bottom of the pan. And I'm just doing it for sake of show for the students. And as a teacher, it's always best to show an example before your students actually perform the experiment. So as they can see that I barely just covered the bottom of the pan. You are still going to see some of the pan when you spray the shaving cream. Okay? So I'll let Jayla, you can go ahead and start. And while she's doing that, you can create this to be scented Christmas paper, or you can do this to create scented holiday paper as well. You can go ahead and buy peppermint scented shaving cream. So what they're going to do is they're going to spray the bottom of the pan, and they've been instructed, as they've observed what I have done as well, that they're still able to see the bottom of the pan. While your students are spraying the bottom of the pan, it's always best that you're walking around and you're monitoring that they're not spraying too much or too little as well, because it will impact and make a difference in the end. So as I'm looking, I'm checking, I'm going to tell, you can see the difference in the two. There's a little bit less in this one and a little bit more in this one. So what I'm going to do, just so I can ensure that his wrapping paper in the end actually has enough coverage, I'm going to actually have him spray a little bit more into the bottom of his pan, and Jayla can go ahead and start with her spoon, and she can go ahead and start spreading it out and smoothing it, and you can describe it to your students just like they're spreading icing on a cake or on a cupcake. And when they're doing this, they're not going to be able to see the bottom of the pan after they have spread the shaving cream. Okay?
Really?
Yeah, go right ahead. And after they've started that too, if you still see that they're having a little bit difficulty of putting the shaving cream into the pan, you can always help them as well. So try not to get it on the sides. You're just getting it on the very, very bottom of the pan. So you want to give them about 5 or so minutes to do this. And as you are allowing this time, you can play holiday music in the background. You can allow them to freely talk about what they're going to do on their holiday break as well. So as you can see, you've given them a little bit of time. Remember, the equipment that the students should have, definitely for safety reasons, should be if you have a jacket or a lab coat. If they don't have that available, make sure the day before you tell them to bring a really old extra large t-shirt that they can turn inside out, and that the parent or guardian does not mind that's going to get a little bit dirty, because you are going to be using food coloring in this experiment. Another thing that's essential is also your goggles, because it could be where they are doing the experiment with the shaving cream and they go up to scratch their eye. Well, they can't, because the goggles are there for protection. So that's a good thing. So as you can see, they're still working a little bit. You're walking around your classroom and you're monitoring and you're ensuring, again, that it's as smooth as possible. And it's always best that you have an example either up on the table, or up on the screen, showing exactly what you want it to look like. Okay, so I think they're at a stopping point. It's smeared, and as you can see, you guys can stop for me. You can just lay the spoon down on the paper towel. And as you can see, they've done a really good job. You can't see the bottom of the pan at all. All you can see is the white shaving cream. Okay? Another thing too, as you can tell, we are using rubber gloves as well. Make sure that you have a size appropriate for your students. So depending on the age of your students, you should know you should probably have an assortment from small, medium to large to even extra large if you do teach an older group of students. So now that we're done placing the shaving cream and spreading it all even in our pans, we have an assortment. Make sure it's liquid food coloring, not the paste food coloring. So they can pick anywhere between 2 to 4 colors, and what they're going to do is they're going to just real easy. They're going to place dots. They're going to squeeze the bottle one time. You want to make sure you show them and instruct them so that they're not just taking the whole bottle and squirting it all at one time, writing their name, drawing a happy face. You want to make sure that they're just doing dots on their page. So I'm going to let you, if you want to use the green, you can go ahead and start. So, and as they're doing the dots, they can go from really low, up high, it doesn't matter. And if the dots end up overlapping each other as well, that's fine too. As you're walking around monitoring them as they're dropping the dots onto their shaving cream, if they seem like they are a little upset, they think that they've ruined it, they've overlapped the colors, the spots are too big, they don't look like the teachers, reassure them that that is perfectly fine because they will see in the next step that that doesn't matter. That's actually probably a good thing. Okay, so now that we're done, we've laid out the shaving cream, they've spread it all along evenly, and now they've put their dots of the food coloring. So what they're going to do now, you can use a plastic straw, which is probably safer than a fork. If you have an older group of students, a fork is perfectly fine. And what they're going to do is they're going to go in and they're just going to do like squiggle marks. Now is when they can make the designs that they want to. And they're just going to take everything and they're going to swirl it around, just like you would if you had icing on a cake as well and you wanted a neat little design that's a swirl. And what they're doing is they're actually combining all the colors together, not so much as they're all going to end up running and turning into one color, because your base is that white shaving cream. You want to make sure, again, that you're monitoring, walking around, that they've done just enough to make sure the colors are mixed. Okay? So now I'm going to give you guys, clean that off, go ahead and do about, tell them that they should do this for about 30 seconds. You can have the timer up on the screen. You can count down. You can play music for just the 30 seconds. Again, you're walking around and you're making sure that they're not combining the colors too much. Tell them they can draw their initials if they don't know which direction to go. They can pretend like they're drawing their name, drawing a smiley face, drawing a house. Whatever they feel like they want to draw is perfectly fine, as long, again, as they're combining the colors. So as I'm looking at both of them, so far the colors are amazing, but we're going to see the difference here. So I'm going to hold these up so you can see the difference in color. What you also want to make sure is you don't have too many mountains, too many hills within the shaving cream. So what you can, as a teacher, just to ensure, again, you're walking around making sure that the colors weren't combined too much. You can always add a little bit more white. You have a little bit of mountains. And you can put the access to the side. So now I'm going to have them drop their forks. So you can drop their forks to the side. So the next step in the experiment is you're going to take your simple piece of one sheet of printer paper that has nothing on it. You're going to place it completely flat. They're going to press down just a little bit. You're going to start to see the food coloring actually go into the piece of paper, and that's actually what's going to happen with the wrapping paper. Okay, so go ahead, lay it flat. Don't squish it. Make sure that they're not actually pushing it in so far. They're just lightly placing it on top with their hands, and they're going to mush it around until they start to see the color get absorbed into the printer paper. And you're going to let them do that for about 30 seconds. So again, have a timer up on the board, play some holiday music for 30 seconds, just so they have that reinforcement when they know that their time is up. And it's really important that they stop after 30 seconds, because after that, the colors can get a little bit too much into the paper and the paper becomes weak. All right, so we're going to stop now, and we're going to sit and we're going to wait. Now's a good time for the students, when they're in groups, to walk around and see each other's experiments and see the colors that are coming through the paper. So 30 seconds has elapsed, and you're going to instruct them to take the corners of the paper, and they're going to slowly start to pull the paper up towards them. One hand probably needs to be on the pan. And as you can see, the color that's happened on the piece of paper. And a good thing to have out and laid out is paper towels for them to lay it on. Or you can have them, if they're older, we have a 5th grader and a 6th grader, they're more than able to hold this in their hand. So after, you can either use a spatula or you can give them a handful of paper towels. And either way, what they're doing is they're removing the excess shaving cream from the piece of paper. This is the really messy part. This is why it is so important for them to have on an extra large t-shirt, that you don't care as a parent or as a teacher that they're going to get a little bit messy, because the food coloring is not going to come out of that shirt. So as you can see, with a little bit of shaving cream, a little bit of food coloring, and a whole lot of fun, you can take a simple piece of printer paper and you've just created your own holiday wrapping paper. And it even smells like peppermint.